from the studio and into your minds. Pure, unadulterated sounds of the harder styles. Presented by Callie and Shocker. You're listening to the HDUK podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome to another exciting edition of the HDUK podcast, jam-packed with loads of fresh new music from the harder style scenes.
Our guest for episode 23 was the headline act for the Logic Xtra-Hard arena at the mighty Escape 2022 festival, and one of Australia's biggest hardstyle exports.
Known for a mind-blowing standard of music production with an exceptional level of detail.
Plus his white collar, of course.
Of course. It gives us great pleasure to have on the show the amazing Audiofreq.
That's awesome, lads.
Yes, indeed. So really looking forward to getting a few questions answered and hearing his guest mix later on in the show.
Absolutely. Time to get warmed up first of all, even though it's been 30 degrees in the sun recently.
Whoa.
Yes, although that's hot for us, but I'm sure many of our foreign friends are used to it.
Definitely, guys.
So this is Lightwave from Lab 4 and Chris Nycon.
Let's get warmed up. It's a classic.
This is the summer of hardstyle. This is the summer of hardstyle. Witness nature as the foundation of a track. Here we go. This is the summer of hardstyle. Witness nature as the foundation of a track. When a white beam of light breaks through the atmosphere and warms the earth, she performs a symphony of noise and low bass frequencies, overtaking and changing the land. The wind is a screech that is screaming out loud. The water is a bass and to be handled with caution. The lead is like a fire that cannot be put out. The sun is a distortion.
I can't believe this is 13 years old.
No way.
Here we go.
Yes, absolute madness. It's been that long since it's been released.
That was the brilliant Summer of Hardstyle from Proppy and Heady.
For those that don't know, Proppy is, of course, the Prophet, and he's announced recently that he'll be retiring as a hardstyle DJ after one final year doing shows.
As the founder of Scantrax Records, he's had a huge influence on the scene and will be missed 100% going forward.
He sure will.
I've had the pleasure of performing with him a good few times over the years, and we'd both like to wish him all the best for the future.
Me too.
Haha, good man. Okay, so it's time to get started with our kickoff mix.
Cracking idea, lads.
Let's do it, Mr. Cali.
We have another great selection of tunes from both UK and international artists to wrap your ears round. So, crank up that volume, guys.
And turn it up just a little bit more.
I want your soul.
HDUK Mini Mix with your hosts, Callie and Shaka. Eat, Sleep, HDUK Repeat.
Close my
The Kickoff Mini Mix. 100% hardstyle.
Take me to paradise.
To go out, I like to misbehave. I like to let my hair down and party to my grave. Beer tokens ready, all week I say. Shower, shoot, shave, now I'm ready for a rave. Ready for a, 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 ready for a rave. Now I'm ready for a rave. Ready, ready. Bumping, the beats are banging. I know in the morning I'm going to be hanging, but it was all worth it. What else can I say? I party all night because I love the fucking rave. Now I'm ready for a rave. All night because I love the fucking rave.
Feel free to express yourself, to release your anxiety. I want you to be able to walk out with inner strength to finally be free.
Feel the melody guide me, bright lights they blind me, the bass in my heart. Electricity's rising, I fly like a firework with just one spark. Oh, it makes me feel alive.
You're in tune to the HDUK podcast.
Every day, every hour, I waited to be here. Now's the time, I'm free in my mind, I'm letting go. Feel the melody guide me, bright lights they blind me, the bass in my heart. Electricity's rising, I fly like a firework with just one spark. Oh, it makes me feel alive.
like soldiers, we don't back down. Always a crime scene, fighting for our wars. But nobody told us what love was about. We would just figure out. Falling deep in the great wide open. Pull me up and I'll crash you to the ground. We took the rise, I'll take the fall, but I will find a place to land on. Don't change my mind, don't take control, but let me fly out of our ghost town, our ghost town. Soldierz, we don't back down. Always a crime scene, fighting for our wars. But nobody told us what love was about. We would just figure out. Falling deep in the great wide open. Pull me up, you to the ground. We took the rise, I'll take the fall, but I will find a place to land on. Don't change my mind, don't take control, but let me fly out of our ghost town, our ghost town. We took the rise, I'll take the fall, but I will find a place to land on. Don't change my mind, don't take control, but let me fly out of our ghost town, our ghost town.
Let's get fired up.
stages, lights and evening faces, fields of love and joy and bad behavior. On and on, I'm counting down the days. I'm a slave to the rave.
You're listening to Callie and Shaka.
Here's the thing, we started out friends. It was cool, but it was all pretend. Yeah. Since you've been gone, you dedicated, you took the time. Wasn't long till I called you mine. Yeah. Since you've been gone, and all you'd ever hear me say is how picture me with you. That's all you'd ever hear me say. But since you've been gone, I can't breathe for the first time. I'm so moving on, yeah. Thanks to you, wanna be with you. I guess you never felt that way. But since you've been gone, I can't breathe for the first time. I'm so moving on, yeah, yeah. Thanks to you, now I get what I want. Since you've been gone.
The eternal wonders of space and time. The faraway dreams and mysteries of other worlds, other life, 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 other life. Unknown secrets. Eternal wonders of space and time. The faraway dreams and mysteries of other worlds, other life, the stars, the planets. Man has been face to face with them for centuries, yet is barely able to penetrate their unknown secrets.
Top quality stuff from everyone in our mix again.
That was fire.
Yeah, I agree. Make sure you hunt down the artists making those incredible tunes and click, share, like and follow, guys, and give them your support.
Next up are a couple of awesome tunes released recently on our HDUK label.
Tell me more.
Well, we're always looking to get different artists on board, and with these releases, we have 3 new artists debuting on the label.
First up is Get Back MF from the legendary Marky G and HDUK's very own Eddie T.
That'll be followed by Keeps Me High from local Welsh heroes Audio Nitrate and Arnie.
HDUK, the only way. HDUK, leading the way.
Can I be your star tonight? You fill my soul with light the day we met. I don't wanna leave your side, no. Have me by your side when the sun sets. I hope you'll still want me, I hope you'll still need me 1,000,000 years from now. The seasons are changing, the nights ever fading. It's time we left the ground. Let's leave for an eternity. We'll sail across the lights beyond the sky. I'll be with you eternally. I'm an addict for your love, it keeps me high. Keeps me high.
Let's go.
Can I be your star tonight? You fill my soul with light the day we met. I don't wanna leave your side, no. Have me by your side when the sun sets. I hope you'll still want me, I hope you'll still need me 1,000,000 years from now. The seasons are changing, the nights ever fading. It's time we left the ground. Let's leave for an eternity. We'll sail across the lights beyond the sky. I'll be with you eternally. I'm an addict for your love, it keeps me high. Keeps me high.
Let's go harder.
Come with me, babe. Let's fall in love at the rave.
Rave, bitch.
The rave. Let's fucking party. Yeah, sick, bro, drop that shit.
Drop that.
Hey, yo, Mish. Come with me, babe. Let's fall in love at the rave. Everybody.
Rave, bitch.
Everybody at the rave. Yeah, sick, bro, drop that shit. Hey, yo, Mish.
That was Rave Love from the Italian Sick Mode Unleashed, who is absolutely ruling the raw scene right now.
Yeah, he's absolutely owning it. I had the pleasure of performing with him at Cream Fields recently for the last hour of the Good Grief Xtra-Hard Arena, and I had so much fun. His set was so powerful, energetic, and was just off the scale. He's such a great guy too, plus I know he's a big Shocker fan, and he grew up listening to our very own swanky DJ in Kashi.
Oh, come on.
Wow, that's mad. Although you can hear that reverse bass influence in his tracks, that is for sure.
You really can, yeah.
totally agree.
Okay, so let's get our international guest on the show, shall we?
Yes, let's get him on board.
Our paths have crossed lots over the years, including Bionic, Hard Island, and many Dutch festivals.
And we also had the chance to catch up with him at Escape 2022 in Swansea.
Please welcome to the HDUK podcast, the super talented Audiofreq.
Yo, Kelly Shocker, thank you so much for having me on the show. It's a pleasure to be here.
An absolute pleasure to have you on the show, mate.
Okay, so let's begin with the first question. What got you into hard dance music? And we know you didn't start out as Audiofreq, so for those who don't know, could you give a brief mention of the acts that came before?
So, my story in hard dance starts a very, very long time ago. I think I've told this story before, but for those that don't know it, in another time, in another life, I used to go to trumpet lessons. That was the first instrument that I picked up, and when I was still in, was it primary school, high school, something like that, long time ago. And on the way to these trumpet lessons, normally my dad would like flick on the radio and he'd be listening to like talkback radio or sports or whatever, and that was never my thing. One time I managed to wrestle the controls from him and was just kind of tuning through the FM stations, and I heard some music that I'd never heard before with some energy that I'd never felt before. And later on, I found out that this radio station was called Wild FM, and at the time they were playing happy hardcore, and this was back in the 90s. Before there was too much of a delineation between the Dutch hardcore and the UK hardcore. You see, the Australian DJs at the time didn't really care so much. It was just ravey, it was fun, and when I was going to my trumpet lessons, I was more interested in that kind of music than actually going to learn how to play the trumpet. So that was my first exposure to the music in the, I guess, late 90s. And it was, I don't know, just something about it. Like, I just felt the energy, and I loved the energy. I loved what I was hearing, and I couldn't get enough of it. Now, over time, I started to dig up what this music was, how to find it more specifically, rather than on the way to trumpet lesson, tune into this station at this time and you can find cool music. So I went to a record store and got myself a compilation that I don't remember who it was mixed by, but it was a Dwarf Records versus Baby Boom Records, which I later found out, I don't even know how many years later, they were both Dutch labels, and I think the compilation was mixed by Isaac, and it was just all this really cool Dutch hardcore. It wasn't quite the Thunderdome stuff, so it wasn't really too spooky or too rough, but it had like Cold as Ice on it, and just so many cool ravey tunes from these labels, and it was amazing, man. So from there, I kind of got hooked. After some time, I wanted to make what I heard. I wanted to feel that energy more. I wasn't satisfied with listening to the same tunes over and over again because I just played them so many times. I think of it this way. I was like a junkie and I got bored of my dealer. I wanted to become my own dealer to get that feeling. And so that began the process of learning how to produce, and eventually started getting into making UK hardcore. I had a very small stint making like freeform kind of stuff that was like Sharky inspired, for those that remember the Bonkers compilations. And from there, I started making more ravey stuff that was a little bit more in the gamma side of things, and I did that as Orbit 1. I was in contact with Al Storm at the time. For me, at the time, he was like an absolute idol, and I really enjoyed his flavor of choppy, ravey hardcore and just pursued that for a stint. Man, we're getting the full story now, aren't we? At some point in time, I got it in my head after listening to Al Storm stuff, after getting exposed to Clubland Extreme Hardcore. I wanted to go to the UK because I loved that kind of music. I love the energy of that music. And I went to the UK, I lived there for a little bit. Didn't quite work out. I mean, the UK hardcore scene, even if in its glory days, wasn't as big as, say, what the hardstyle and hardcore scene is these days. And it just didn't work out for me there. Now, while I was living in the UK and I was living with Al Storm at the time, a gentleman that you may or may not know, Kutski. He was a client of Alstorm's production service at the time, and he went in to work with Alstorm one time, and had picked up a little bit of hardstyle. I was listening to the first Project One album with Headhunters and Wildstyles. There's so much cool stuff on it. Art of Creation was on there. Too many cool tunes. Literally all the names of the track list just fell out of my head as I wanted to describe it. From there, I was like, this is amazing. I want to try making this music. And as Kutski was on a break from working with Alstorm, I was like, hey man, can you check this out? And he came into my little room where I was working at the time, and he was like, dude, this is really cool. If you finish something, I'd love to support it. And that was the beginning phases of Bioweapon, an act that Code Black and I were sort of dreaming up while I was in the UK, and he was back in Sydney. I mean, we had some communication backwards and forwards. He was working as Inverse, I was working as Orbit One, and we had some tracks together and all that sort of stuff. But from there, we thought maybe what we're looking for in our music and in the way that we want to make music isn't in UK hardcore. It's probably not the scene that allows for the most flexibility at the time. Maybe what we want is here in hardstyle. It's a little slower, but there's high production value. Let's explore that. And Kutski helped out a great deal in our beginning phases of our hardstyle journey, and we kind of grew from there. Now, after we'd been doing Bioweapon for a little bit, we moved over to the Netherlands, and that partnership got strained quite a bit for various reasons. You know, like when you move to another country, particularly when you move to the other side of the world, if there's any small fractures in a relationship, they can become big fractures. And we were running into problems that a lot of people run into when they move countries. It was, you know, not having so many friends, being around each other 24/7. We didn't really have an escape. And this is at the time where data on your mobile phone plans was ridiculously expensive. So we couldn't really entertain ourselves with like, let's just pop on Netflix or wander around the suburbs with GPS, because we just didn't have the money to pay for the data for the Netflix. In fact, there was one time that I wanted to go and meet up with D-Block and Estefan in their studios in The Hague, and I got lost and my GPS didn't work. I didn't have the data for the GPS on my phone. Like, I just ran out of data. So I got lost on a highway that abruptly ended. There was like barriers and all that sort of thing, and I had nowhere to figure out. I was totally lost. This was so long ago, and it was so strange, so foreign to how things are now, that at the time when Corey and I were living down in Eindhoven together as part of Bioweapon, it just sort of all fell apart. After that, I didn't want to give up music. I wanted to keep on making music. It had been in my blood. I'd been working separately. Before I was working with Code Black, before I was doing Orbit One, I'd been independent, and Inverse, Code Black was independent as well. So we're like, we're going to go on our separate paths. And from there, it kind of grew. I mean, we didn't really have roles when we were working together that one person was the business guy and one person was the producer. It was way different. The way that we worked together was way more interlinked. And so because we were independent producers in our own right, we just kind of grew with our own distinct approaches. My stuff was a little bit more choppy and ravey. His stuff was a little bit more feelsy and melodic. And I guess that's the short story.
A great story.
It feels kind of long. Let's be honest. It's a pretty long story of the beginning phases of my exposure to hard dance music, and then growing into being a producer. Now, here's the thing. I was never a DJ and I was never a raver. There was no chemical intervention, no moment where I was like, I need to be a part of this scene. It was really just from the exposure to hearing the music in a very sober setting, in a very clinical setting, just putting on the headphones and just like checking stuff out, stuff that I download from Napster or from Soulseek, if anyone remembers those ones. And I just really enjoy the energy that gave me. Now, here's the thing as well, because I was exploring energetic music, I wasn't just strictly stuck to working or listening to just hard dance. I'd be listening to drum and bass as well. I'd be listening to breaks, and all I was really looking for was music that just pumped me up. And I found most of that came from the hard dance scene. If it was UK, if it was Italian, if it was Dutch, I didn't really care. I just wanted music that just made me feel pumped up, get ready for a jog and take on the day. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the thing that hard dance has in spades. Even the more feelsy stuff can give you like a pump up of adrenaline, and that's what really drew me to the music.
Well, for those who didn't know much about your past, they sure do now.
Yeah, I think they do. Okay, so what stage in your career did you realise you needed to move from Australia? And when you moved, did you already have everything in place in the Netherlands? Or were you going there and hoping for the best?
Well, once Corey and I were doing shows as Bioweapon, we kind of rose to the top of the hard dance scene pretty quickly. And the reason being, I think, is that there were no producers that were pumping out content consistently or had or were releasing on Dutch labels. I think we were the first ones to release. We were definitely the first Australians to release on Scantraxx. I'm not too sure if we were the first ones to release on one of the major Dutch labels. I don't know. I mean, this is some time ago, but because we kind of hit the ceiling of where we could go, we when our agendas were full, you know, it's a small pool in Australia. There's only so many cities you can do in so many weeks before you kind of are running into the same crowd over and over again. And because we hit that ceiling pretty quickly, we already thought, this is unsustainable. There's going to be a point where people are bored of seeing us. Even if we keep on pumping out the releases, we need to set our horizons a little higher and dream a little bigger. And that came pretty quickly. We already knew that the epicenter of the scene was in the Netherlands. We'd already seen footage from DEF CON and Climax, and our dreams were very much to go there and be part of that, you know. To give it a metaphor, the pond in Australia for hard dance DJs is quite small, and we were the biggest fish in there, and we wanted to swim in deeper waters. And so from there, we had a pretty decent relationship with Scantraxx. They put us in touch with a booking agency in the Netherlands, Make You Dance, and we signed with them, and they helped us quite a bit to relocate to the Netherlands. So we didn't just really pack up our things and just hope for the best. We already had some stuff in place. I know that some people have done it a little bit differently and they've had success doing it, but because we weren't European, we didn't really have the safety net of like, oh, we'll just jump on the next flight back if something goes wrong and it's only an hour trip. It was a proper serious relocation, but we had some stuff in place, right? So we saved up a bit of money from the shows that we were doing, and in case something went wrong, that we didn't have shows for a couple of months, we could survive, pay the rent, and get all that sorted. So we had a bit of a plan. Of course, that plan kind of went sideways when Bioweapon split up, but we still already had a kind of infrastructure in place so that, you know, like I said, if something went wrong, we could kind of pick ourselves up from there.
Very cool, and great to see everything work out the way it did. So we're intrigued about the white collar and the religious concept you've gone with. Is this just a theme, or is there more to it?
Well, here we go. The one thing that I love about Audiofreq is that there's actually quite a bit of depth in all the stuff that I do, even if people don't really see it. There's always a lot of thought and a lot of background stuff. Even though sometimes the music might be simple, there's usually quite a bit of lore that goes behind it. Now, here's the thing. I told you before that I was going to trumpet lessons when I first discovered hard dance. Well, when I was a wee tyke, I would play the trumpet in church, in my parents' church. Now, I grew out of going to church. I mean, just as I discovered rave music, you know, that's usually the hangover time, the recovery time when church is on, the recovery time from going to the rave the night before. So things just didn't line up. And even though I had that foundation in me, and I still keep a lot of the ethics and stuff that I learned from the church, from my parents' church to this day, I I'm not part of it so much. But that said, I was taking a look, and throughout the years of just being involved with DEF CON and Climax, and just kind of seeing how people respond to hard dance music as a whole, I thought, look, people treat this like a religion. I'm getting a similar feeling going to DEF CON than what I would get when I'd go to church. The way that people interact with each other, the passion that they have for each other, the way that they look out for each other, and that they're all from so many different walks of life, from so many different parts of the world, gathered with a singular purpose. It feels religious. People treat it like a religion. So who's the religious leader here? Who's the preacher that's guiding them in what to do? Now, once that thought had started simmering in my mind, I was like, hang on, there's no one really tapping too much into religious iconography here. There's no one that is, in my experience, really from that world, but I'm from that world. And while I might not be practicing today, I know enough about the religious experience, or at least the Christian experience, to draw on that as a foundation. And then I can use that to help me write music for captions for Instagram, because captions are so important these days, for artwork. And what I found was, even before I cottoned onto this idea, I was always drawn to that stuff anyway. If you look at some of the artwork that I've used throughout the years, it's kind of delved a little bit with some occultic themes or language or whatever. So because of that, I thought, let's package that all up. I saw that with acts like Warface and Hard Driver and Technikore, that were very recognizable on stage, and I wanted to use their example along with this thought that had been simmering about like rave religion is a rave kind of thing. And so with that, I was like, okay, how can we put this into a simple package that people can recognize, that is easy for me to pull off, and that I feel comfortable with, and that feels genuine. And originally I was gonna, I was working with some designers for masks and all that sort of stuff there. But then when I realized, hang on, all a priest wears is a black shirt and a white plastic collar. And that's not very expensive. That's something that can become a kind of uniform. It's instantly recognizable. Let's try it and see how it goes. And once I did that, and I saw the way that people reacted, I thought it was actually really cool. It was very genuine, and at the same time, it spoke a lot and had an impact without me having to do too much. Now, sometimes people have to dress up with like military uniform. Barely Alive, for example, the dubstep guy, has this kind of microwave looking thing that he wears on his head. And that's really heavy and it takes a lot of effort. So I thought, what's this kind of low risk, high reward thing that I can do? And because I had come from the church, and because it's literally just a black shirt with a white plastic collar, I thought this would be a cool way to tie in so many different concepts and ideas that are a part of me, or stuff that I've used in the past, and put it all in one place that can be instantly recognizable. And so it's been really fun. What I think is probably the best thing as well is when I play at events, often people kind of do the bow and they cross their chest and all that sort of stuff from Catholicism. Sometimes girls will come up to me and say, hey, daddy, I want to confess something. And so that's hilarious. That's a lot of fun.
Well, I bet you've had some interesting confessions come up, especially at a rave. You're known for being a versatile producer who can create many different styles, but what is your favorite genre to produce?
Guys, this is a tricky one. I'm going to be honest with you, because I just like being in the studio and making stuff. Now, is there one thing that I like to do above others? Like I said, starting off, I really enjoy music that gives me energy. So I guess when we start pushing up the tempo and getting really choppy, so like your Sepha kind of stuff, that's really, really fun for me to produce, just because, my heart rate's going up, adrenaline's flowing through the system, and I can draw on so much of the music that got me into hard dance in the first place. So I love making that kind of stuff, but that's not to take away from the fact that I also like doing stuff that sometimes can be deeper and darker, and sometimes I love doing like really, really droney stuff, because at the end of the day, I don't want to be just a hard dance producer. I want to be a good producer in general. I want to be a great musician. So that's why I've kind of dabbled in so many genres, and there's so much cool music out there. It's really hard to just block everything out and just focus on one thing. I mean, at the start of the pandemic, I started getting into death metal, and I'm teaching myself how to play the guitar. I would love to get into scoring for games. I love game music, maybe TVs or even ads. But there is definitely something to be said about music that pumps up my adrenaline, that gets the heart rate up. Yeah, man, I love that stuff.
Yes, just like yourself, I enjoy listening and working with many styles of music, but agree that high energy music is definitely among the most fun to make. So what other artists have influenced your music production?
I can name 3 off the top of my head. So the first one is Rob Swire from Pendulum. The first time I heard Pendulum was unlike anything that I'd heard beforehand. I think it was back in 2003. And the primordial hardstyle that was around then, that kind of like hard trancey kind of stuff, or even the UK hardcore, wasn't at the same level of production, the same clarity and of the mix, and the same kind of punch with the drums as Pendulum at the time. That was absolutely incredible stuff. And Rob Swire's approach to making music, the layering that he had in the mixes for the Pendulum stuff was just absolutely incredible, and that left a lasting impact to this day, actually. The second was BT, who was a trance producer. The first time I heard BT was way back when I heard rave music for the first time as well, back in the 90s. And again, he was another producer that was just ahead of the pack. The way that he put his stuff together, the amount of editing that he had in his tracks that even to this day still sounds current and futuristic. Mixes don't, but the kind of editing and the way that the tracks flowed, the arrangement, all that sort of stuff, I was like, whoa, dude, this is incredible. I think he holds the world record for the most amount of edits in a song. He did some production for NSYNC Pop, and at the time it was some ridiculous amount of vocal edits, and it was absolutely incredible stuff. And so all that kind of glitchy, stuttery kind of stuff that you hear in my music, that all stems from BT. And then some other producers, I guess Noisia, absolute gods of production. Their legacy is just absolutely incredible. And then they were another group of artists and producers that at the time were just so far ahead of the pack that they left a lasting impact. I'd never heard anything quite like their music, but the first time I heard it, you know, drum and bass, at least the mainstream kind of almost Pendulum style drum and bass with some focus and chase and status and everything. That was kind of one thing, and that was cool. They, you know, big powerful snares and catchy riffs, and then Noisia doing something else completely different compared to what those guys were doing. Their bass sounds were so gnarly, but the mixes were so clear and so full. It was just incredible stuff that they could make underground music sound so good, because usually there was a kind of compromise. There was underground music that was interesting, but kind of like rough in the mix, and the production quality wasn't so high. Or you'd have commercial music at a very high level of production and mix, but then it was kind of ordinary to listen to. Once you've heard it once or even twice, you know, there's nothing more to be gleaned from that song. Noisia was completely different. And finally, a lasting impact for me right now is Mick Gordon, who did the Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal soundtrack. And he's done so much more as well, but his style of production is just so dense. There's so many different layers, so many different parts in just small sections. It's kind of hard to describe without hearing his music. And even though none of these artists are hard dance artists, I've always felt like it was important to look beyond hard dance to see what you can bring into hard dance to elevate yourself, to elevate your own productions, to elevate your own songwriting, and to get different ideas to keep things fresh. Some people only listen to hardstyle and only listen to hardcore, and that's I'm a huge fan of just good production and good songwriting, and that can come from anywhere. You know, that could come from death metal, that can come from drill and R&B or whatever. So I think as a producer, it's very important to keep an open mind and to always be hungry to look for new inspiration. And I found by staying hungry or being hungry in the past and staying hungry now, those producers have had such a lasting impact in the way that I think about music, in the way that I approach composing, and in the way that I approach production and mix downs. And yeah, man. So once again, Pendulum, BT, Noisia, and Mick Gordon, all incredible producers in their own right.
Great choice there, and you can hear the multi-genre influence as your music is so versatile.
Absolutely. So, you've just performed at Escape Festival, which is in our home country of Wales. Tell us how your set went and what you thought of our Welsh crowd.
Cards on the table. I didn't know what to expect, right? When I flew in, I was a little bit like, I haven't been to the UK in a while. I haven't been to this part of the world in a while, to Wales especially. I did get some messages beforehand from some people saying, hey, I remember the last time that you came. And some people were like, I remember the first time you came to Wales as Orbit One. So I had this perception in my mind of like, okay, I haven't been here for a while, but there's some familiar faces that are excited to see me. I don't know what they're going to expect, if they're going to expect me to play some UK hardcore. I was closing the stage, and that's always a bit of a challenge because, you know, there's all the headliners at the other stages at festivals like this, at multi-genre festivals like this. I mean, when I checked the time slot, I was like, I'm up against Ben Nicky. Oh boy, this is going to be a challenge. So I don't know what people were expecting, and I didn't know what to expect. So as soon as I got onto the to the festival grounds, I was already like a little bit apprehensive. But as I started walking up the hill of the terrain, because the hard stage is kind of like at the top of a hill, and the rest of the stages are kind of on the glen, on the grass there, a little bit further down. And as I started walking up the hill, past the food tents, past the pizza, past the chicken stand, I could hear the crowd over the music, actually. And I was like, all right, okay, this is where the party's at. I see people like popping around in techno beforehand. The drum bass stage, of course, it's loud, it's bassy, but there wasn't any other stage where the crowd was louder than the people. And when I went backstage, I caught a little bit of Kyle MKN's set, and I was like, okay, yeah, all right, this is going to be a great time. This is going to be amazing. And, you know, right from the get-go, as soon as I hit play on the CDJ, on the first CDJ, I mean, I just had an absolute ball. The crowd were absolutely incredible. And of course, a very special shout out to you guys for being so hospitable. It was really cool to dance around with the both of you at the drum and bass stage when Sub Focus was closing. Oh man, that was awesome. I mean, you don't get a lot of drum and bass here in the Netherlands, and it's hard to go to a show when you're doing shows, so it's not. Sometimes you get a chance to catch them, people that you actually want to see outside of the hard dance scene. Sometimes you don't. But this was one of those moments where I was like, oh man, this is awesome. He didn't quite make it onto the top 3 producers, but his music was really cool as well. I mean, when I discovered him, it was around the same time that I discovered Pendulum. So to catch some of his newer stuff and to just kind of vibe out with the both of you at the drum and bass stage at Escape was really cool. So shout out to you guys. Thank you so much. It was cool.
You're welcome. We had a blast.
And finally, is there anything you'd like to tell our HDUK listeners?
What's next for the Audiofreq? Well, I'll tell you what. There's a lot on the go at the moment. Some I'm going to preview here in the mix that I've got for you guys. Some exclusive shit. Everybody loves that. But I'm going to drop some gossip right here, right now as well. Okay, so I mentioned before that Black and I used to do bioweapon stuff. A lot of people still love that era of music, and they still love the old bioweapon records. So, after much deliberation, Black and I are working on a bioweapon album. People asked for it. We're working on it. Our aim is to have it done by the end of the year and released early next. It's cooking. It's coming along very nicely. I can't show anything just yet, but we're really excited for it. And I'm sure the people that love that sound are going to fall in love with it instantly. Now, besides that, Tone Shifters, Code Black, and myself, we've been repping the Aussie sound internationally for some time, and we thought, wouldn't it be fun for us to get together, for us to perform with the three of us? I mean, we've known each other for a very long time, since before we got involved with Hardstyle. We're good friends. We thought, like, how can we export that chemistry out to the world? So we had an idea, and we performed a couple of times doing this idea. We call it the Three Blokes, where three Aussie blokes get up on stage, play bangers, and have a good time. Some people have seen the footage on Instagram. Some people have seen the photos. It's us wearing mullets, horrible shirts, and dressed up all funny. But it's a good, fun live act. We played at EDC. We played at Project Z. We're working on some music. I don't know if we're going to get an album done. I mean, that's a big call if we're doing a Bioweapon album and a Three Blokes album. But we've got some music coming that way as well. We're really excited about it because it's something fun, you know? I feel like the harder styles in general can sometimes take itself a little bit too seriously. I'm so glad that we've got acts like Little Texas and GPF, and dare I say, and this is a bit of a divisive one, I mean, already both of those, you know, turn a few heads in the wrong way for some people. That's fine. Even Unicorn on Ketamine, that's a little bit, you know, out there. But I feel like it's good to have some humor in the scene. Why take ourselves a little bit too seriously? I mean, the people that go to raves, they're having fun. Why can't the DJs have fun? And so the Three Blokes is a project all about that, except with mullets. As well as that, I mentioned beforehand that I'm super into my adrenaline pumping music. I'm working on some hardcore stuff right now. Some, you know, 190, 200, 210 BPM kind of flavor. Do I put that in the mix? Do I not? I don't know. We shall see. But I'm cooking on some material for that as well. A little bit more on that later in the year. Keep an eye on my socials, Instagram.com/AudiofreqDJ to get the latest and the greatest. That's what's cooking. It's exciting stuff. It's a lot of music. There's a lot of pressure on my shoulders to get so much stuff out there, but I love it because I love being in the studio. So yeah, a lot of exciting things to come. I guess when it's all ready, you'll know. But yeah, like I said, keep an eye on the socials because yeah, it's a lot that is coming in the future. So with all of that said, if you've just joined us, my name is Audiofreq. I am the priest that brings you the hard dance feast, the bishop of bass himself, and I'm here to bless you with the holy sounds of the distorted kick drum right here on the HDUK podcast. Thank you so much, Shocker and Callie, for having me. Let's roll.
Let's do this.
Fuck it up, fuck it
passage to the 9th gate. The 9th gate. the ninth gate.
Welcome one, welcome all. If rave is your religion, then this is the place to be, the HDUK podcast with Kelly and Shocker. My name is Audiofreq and I'm in the mix right now.
Oh my god. Motherfucker, you wasted. Motherfucker, you wasted. I got a call from my agency and they asked me to play this club. You are never gonna believe the shit that I had to go through. Oh my god. Oh my god.
About me. Some people pay for thrills, but I get mine for free. Man, I'm just living my life, there's nothing crazy about me. Some people think I'm bonkers, but I just think I'm free. Man, I'm just living my life, there's nothing crazy about me. Some people pay for thrills, but I get mine for free. Man, I'm just living my life, there's nothing crazy about me. I'm gonna rave till 6 in the morning, I can already hear the bassline calling. I'm gonna rave till 6 in the morning, I can already hear the bassline calling. Bassline calling, bassline calling, bassline calling, bassline calling. Let's get this party started. Big, dirty, stinking bass. Dirty, stinking bass. Big, dirty, stinking bass. Bass, 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 bass.
sheer, unadulterated sounds of the harder styles.
Now, loading. Stage 3.
System restart. File not found. Upgrade top out. Hello. Loading. Boss no. 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 Loading. Boss no. Upgrade complete. Okay. Destroy. Base cannon upgraded. Loading boss mode. Destroying. Boss mode complete.
Tell me what you want from me, and I'll say what I've got. I'd give you every piece of me, but only if I'm yours. If I'm yours. I'm yours.
This is the banger. This is the banger. This is the banger. Hit the club. This is the club banger. 3, 2, 1.
Gang. Get ready for it.
Tell me what you want from me, and I'll say what I've got. I'd give you every piece of me, but only if I'm yours. If I'm yours. I'm yours.
This is the banger. This is the banger. This is the banger. Hit the club.
Gang.
Hit the club. 3, 2, 1.
Gang.
Hit the club. Hit the club.
lack divine inspiration, then never fear, dear listener, this is the place to be. Open your mind and reach for the lasers, but most importantly, turn that volume up. You're listening to HDUK with Callie and Shocker.
Now move to the beat. Move to the beat. Move to the beat.
I got kicks, I got drip that'll rip through your cranium. I got bass that'll move this fucking stadium. I got drip, bitch. Move to the beat. I got everything you want. I got
HDUK in full control.
Feel like I'm stuck in time, floating through future memories. Slowly I'm hypnotized. All I can hear are blasting beats. I'm losing all control. Frequencies washing over me, enslaving my heart and soul, ruling me like a primal beast. I surrender.
Drain screaming, I own the game. I'm so stained over cane, doesn't slow the pain. Doesn't slow the pain. In the lab, weapons to blast. We dance with the wolves. The 519's echo. On the game. We empty pistols.
Last night as I lay dreaming, this strangest kind of feeling revealed its secret meaning. And now I know I've never ever been to paradise. I've never ever seen no angel's eyes. You'll never ever let this magic die. No matter where you are my lucky star.
Maximum volume.
Last night as I lay dreaming, this strangest kind of feeling revealed its secret meaning. And now I know I've never ever been to paradise. I've never ever seen no angel's eyes. You'll never ever let this magic die. No matter where you are my lucky star.
thank you so much to Audiofreq for that outstanding guest mix. That really got my head going.
That was awesome.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. Such a versatile DJ and producer. One of my favorites, and so great to finally get him on the show, and awesome to have that chat with him too.
Yeah, it really was. All of his socials are there in the show description for you to do your thing, guys.
And all the HDUK links are there also to keep yourselves up to date with us too.
You heard the guys. Make it happen.
And finally, a big thank you to everyone who came to rock the Logic Xtra-Hard Arena at Escape. It was amazing to see so many happy faces in the crowd, and great to chat with so many of you.
Yes, what an incredible day. It was so great to reunite Cali Juice and Shaka for the first time in a few years. And like you said, so great to spend the day hanging out in the crowd, chatting and reminiscing with so many people.
Yeah, and I'll second what Sam said. I loved getting my drum and bass fix at the end of the day. That last set from Subfocus was outstanding.
And yes, what a perfect way to end the festival. Okay, so it's now time to end the show with our closing track.
This is the amazing Rise Again from Triple Inc.
Darkness makes its way for light. After we've been bruised and broken, we won't go without a fight. As long as we keep our eyes open, no matter how deep we fall, no matter if we lose it all, but
Thank you for listening. Until next time.